Crystal Star Studios would like to thank our friends over at Reset Games for providing Sonic Generations. If you're interested in new or used games, check out Reset Games by clicking the link here or in the video description. This is Shadow Mario 41 and this is Sonic Generations. But before we get started, I just want to reflect on some of my favorite 16-bit platformers of all time, the Sonic the Hedgehog series. These games were fast, they were awesome, and they were just a blast to play. Even now, going back and playing them, I still had the same enjoyment as when I picked them up for the first time. Whether or not the Genesis actually had this blast processing crap or whatever is irrelevant, but these games were just fantastic, and you know, they took a whole different style from Mario games too, which is why they really were successful, I think, in the long run. So when I heard that Sonic Generations was coming out, that it was going to be really a reflection on a lot of these old Sonic games, I couldn't wait to pick up a copy. So that's exactly what I did, and now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to provide you with a review of Sonic Generations. Let's see if it holds up to the classic Sonic games. I don't know, that would be quite a tough competition. But I will say this is going to be a more traditional review. I'm going to review the story, the graphics, the gameplay, the music, and then the replay value. Those are the 5 most important qualities in my opinion. But just look at some of this old Sonic footage. It's so cool, so fast, so slick, very nice. So this game has a lot to compete with. It's Sonic Generations. I'll be playing the PlayStation 3 version too, by the way, in case you're wondering. Although I don't think there's a difference between the PS3 version and the Xbox. There is a difference on the handheld though. But anyway, here we go. This is Sonic Generations. Let's get started with our review. First, let's talk about the story of Sonic Generations. The story of recent Sonic games, not exactly stellar. So Sonic Generations tries to simplify it a little bit, and they do a decent job, but we'll see. So old Sonic is just kind of wandering around. Apparently nothing's going on except this giant rift portal monster thing. So this giant monster appears, who you have no idea what's going on for most of the game. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. So he causes this rift in the space-time continuum. But now we travel to the present day, and
he'll be here any
terrible,
second.
terrible voice acting.
Hey guys, what's going on? You having a party or something?
Surprise!
I guess it wouldn't be the same without just horrible voice acting.
Aw, you guys.
Yeah, okay. So, in the spirit of that, I guess it does a good job. But anyway, this party gets disrupted. Not all goes as planned. This giant monster attacks and sucks Sonic and all his friends into this crazy interdimensional space-time continuum rift thing. I don't know, try to make some sense out of it. Hey, but considering the storyline of recent Sonic games, like I said, it's probably a step in the right direction. But anyway, so Sonic eventually wakes up. He's in this land. He has no idea where he is. This mysterious white land where it seems like all the color and all the life has been sort of sucked out of it. And also some familiar locations, too. So, one by one, Sonic
this place looks like something
eventually
all the life and color
finds his friends and rescues them. So when he rescues Tails, he's all like, what has happened?
No stranger than rescuing genies in magic books or saving aliens in an interstellar
and they make those terrible
park.
references.
I'm more concerned about finding our
to the
friends.
storylines of recent Sonic games.
Hey Sonic, I saw something over there in the distance. Like buildings, but they look weird.
That might be a good place to check out. I'll be back soon.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. So yeah, eventually Sonic frees more of his friends, and they all decide to help him in his cause, which is pretty awesome.
Thanks for the help. Not that I needed it, but it's good to have my sanctuary back.
Piss off, Knuckles. Screw you. So, the storyline, simple, but I don't know, just the way it's told within the characters. You'll see here, this scene is very
Can't
awkward.
believe there's two
I don't know.
of me.
I didn't particularly like it. I do like how they didn't make old Sonic talk, though. That was one thing I was really happy about. But old Tails talking, I don't know if I like that very much.
Places and enemies from our past? We're traveling through time and space!
I just can't help but facepalm when I hear these types of things. I don't know.
How did this
Maybe
happen?
it's just me, but
I think it's got something to do with that big thing that just kidnapped Eggman. It sounds like the same thing that kidnapped your friends. I mean our friends. You know what I mean.
I'll take Star Fox 64 voice clips over this, honestly. So, even though the story is simple, it's pretty cool, but I really don't like the way it's presented. It's presented in a very strange way. You really don't know what's going on for most of the time, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 rating, even though Story, luckily for Sonic games, is not the strong point for it. It's namely the gameplay. But let's talk about the graphics first. The graphics, I do have to say, are very slick, very smooth, and very awesome. I mean, if you look at this is Chemical Plant Zone, obviously from Sonic 2. And it was totally redesigned in a way that's very faithful to the original, and yet awesome and new at the same time. That's what I love about it. I will say, though, sometimes, or very occasionally, there is some lag that I don't particularly like, and there are some blurry textures in some of the stages. But for the 2D stages, I think the graphics are fantastic. I mean, you have some very, very cool moments like this. Although, don't get me started on that stupid Chow that's like, you have to jump to avoid falling. It's like, well, yeah, okay. But anyway, yeah, just look at scenes like this are just absolutely breathtaking when you're running in 2D. In the 3D sometimes, even though the graphics are great, they can, so you saw a little bit of game lag right there, they can be a little blurry and a little muddy at times, especially since the 3D controls are still somewhat awkward when you're not on these on-rails sequences. So you can end up wandering into corners, and the camera can do all sorts of weird things. So even though the graphics are pretty slick and pretty smooth, I mean, this is a pretty fast sequence right here, and the graphics are pretty good for the most part. But they do have their minor problems that don't seem like they're that big of a deal when you play through the game for the first time, but when you kind of repeat it, it gets to be more and more of a concern. Although, the graphics, like I said, still very, very good. Especially for scenes like this. I mean, being able to render all this at such a fast speed without it really inducing crazy headaches, I guess that's somewhat of an accomplishment, and really shows how much effort was put into this game. I really do enjoy scenes like that. So, overall, graphics very good, sometimes a little muddy, sometimes a little blurry, but hey, smooth for the most part. But, you know, not the best I've seen on it. They're not stellar, but pretty good. An 8 out of 10 for graphics, I think, is a fair score. So there you go. But now the most important part of Sonic games, in my opinion, is the gameplay. If it was a platformer, I mean, platformers really focus on gameplay the most, and that's what they should do. And just look at this. This is Green Hill Zone, the first level. You just start off the game and they sort of thrust you right into this. And this is quite a stellar way to start out. Not only do you get the nostalgic music and some nostalgic controls, but you get this. Fast-paced Sonic action, which is what made the series fantastic and great in the first place. I will say, the game is obviously divided into 2D stages with Retro Sonic and 3D stages with the modern Sonic. The controls for the retro stages are a little slick, a little slippery. You'll slide around a lot. There's a lot of scenes where you're zoomed way out, and sometimes you can lose sight of your character and within all the chaos. So that can be a problem sometimes, and trying to make precision jumps is also not very easy. But other than that, I really have to say that the game controls really well, and the gameplay is really solid. And like I said, it's fast, and that's what you want from a Sonic game. You want fast, crazy action. And this is the 3D level. The 3D levels just take that to the whole next level. You just saw Chemical Plant Zone in 2D. This is how they turned Chemical Plant Zone into 3D, while making it still fast and crazily enjoyable to play. I don't even really have to say anything. Just look at this footage. See, that's what modern Sonic games should be all about. Crazy, high-speed action that just delivers so much enjoyment. I will say, though, two main gripes. First of all, that Chow that tells you instructions. You can turn it off, thankfully, but it is so annoying. It's really annoying. I did not like that at all. Thought the instructions could have been a little more subtle. And also, I have to say, some of the later stages, as you progress through the Sonic era, I guess, they get kind of not as fun. I don't know. I didn't particularly like them as much as the earliest stages. There's also some boss battles too, and the boss battles are fun as well, but they're all pretty easy. So I don't know, I didn't find much challenge in the game. It's pretty easy to complete. So the gameplay, an 8 out of 10, deserving, a lot of fun, but I don't know, fell short in a few areas. I felt like it kind of just declined as you went on. So now the music department. I don't really even have to talk about the music very much. As far as Sonic games go, the music has been one thing that has held up pretty consistently throughout the series as being awesome. I mean, whether or not you like the vocals or not in some of the songs, this is probably my favorite song from the game. It's the remix of Sky Sanctuary Zone from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's just really fantastic, a great tribute to the original while also being fresh and new at the same time. So in the music department, Sonic Generations does not fail in the slightest. Some of these tunes are just listen to the soundtrack on your own time and you'll see that a lot of work was put into this, and it is a lot of fun to listen to. And, need I say, it only complements an excellent game, so that's why the music of Sonic Generations, a 9 out of 10. One of the other most important things in a game, I think, is replay value. If you just pick up a game for $60 and then you put it down and never play it again after like 3 or 4 days, what kind of, investment was that? But luckily, Sonic Generations will do just the opposite. There's plenty of challenges where you play as other characters, like Tails here. There's speed challenges where you have to race against a clone of yourself. There's all sorts of crazy high scores to try to get. And there's also different music and artwork pieces to unlock, so there's a lot that'll keep you coming back for more. There's skill customizations that you can unlock and purchase with skill points. So definitely, even though there's only a handful of levels in the game, they will keep you coming back for more with all these collectibles and unlockables and things that are really, really cool throwbacks to classic Sonic games. You can also even unlock the classic Sonic game on Genesis, the original Sonic the Hedgehog, if you so desire. Although there's so many ports of it now, you might have it already on something else. But you can unlock different music tracks, you can unlock different artworks. There's all sorts of things that'll keep you coming back for more on Sonic Generations. Plus, it's also a pretty cool game to show off to some of your friends. Some of them might be pretty amazed at some of the fast-paced levels and action and just how awesome it is. And honestly, I haven't really played a 3D Sonic game that really does what this game does. Just simple, fast, cool action. So you can see all the concept art, you can see all sorts of fun things about unlockable characters that you can view their biographies as you unlock them by going through the story mode. So, all little nifty cool things that will keep you coming back for more and will want to get you this 100% completion, because all this stuff is really cool to look at. Replay value, needless to say, 9 out of 10. I really liked it. So that all leads me to my final verdict of Sonic Generations. It's fast, it's fun, but I found that as you progress through the game, like as the stages get towards the newer Sonic games, I'd say probably after Sonic Heroes and on, the levels aren't as fun. I think they actually degrade in quality. Even though they are harder, I didn't enjoy them as much as these levels. These levels are just great. My final verdict, not an average, but I felt like this game deserves an 8 out of 10. Its controls are fluid, controls are smooth, the gameplay is a blast until you get to those later levels, which I don't particularly like. For some reason, I don't know, I can't pinpoint it, but you'll see if you play it. The bosses are easy though. Getting high scores is even easy. It's very lenient with the times. Obviously, you want to get all perfect ranks, it's difficult, but yeah. Other than that though, there's no real major flaws with the game. There's nothing that makes the game crazy, like unplayable or anything. Like with some of the modern Sonic games, just the story was either too ridiculous or the controls or camera was a problem, but this game really seemed to nail it. And oh yeah, also this happens. Have fun with this when you get to this. So anyway, this is Shadow Mario 41. Thank you for watching this review of Sonic Generations. Thank you to our friends over at Reset Games for providing it. Again, check the link in the video description if you would like to check them out. And that's Sonic Generations for you. A great game. Definitely recommend picking it up. Probably the best modern Sonic game I've played, but it has its shortcomings too. So